Hi everyone, these are the notes for Bird Biology, Unit 7. Let's start with some anatomy first. Because birds fly, they have some very different anatomical changes. And the first one that I want to tell you about is the sternum. So this bone right here for you guys, it's where your ribs connect to. It's very large. It's called a keeled sternum in birds because their arms have so many muscles for their wings that they need a lot of area to attach to have a really successful flight. Because they don't use fingers, their wings have fused these finger bones here at 25 and number 26. You can also see that the previous tail that existed in the dinosaurs has now shortened into what you see here in 16 and 17. Feathers are also going to exist for flight, but there's also going to be down feathers which are used for warmth. And there are many different kinds of flight feathers that exist on the wing that are all going to work together to help create a really good aerodynamic shape. The feet on birds have quite a bit of variety. Some of the more primitive looking ones, like this didactyl foot here with only 2 toes, that's only going to exist in ostriches. The tridactyl feet here with the 3 toes is found on land fowl like quail. The zygodactyl feet here are 2 in the front, 2 in the back. Really good for wrapping around something. You're going to find a lot of these on owls, hawks, birds of prey that often will hold something and tear it with their feet. And then there's the anisodactyl feet. So they have the 3 in the front and the 1 in the back, which is really good for helping them stand upright on a flat surface. So you find these a lot in perching and songbirds. The beaks have a lot of variety too, and it really just depends on what they're using it for. So by looking at the beak, we can really tell, what's the purpose of that beak. And it tells us a lot about the relationships as well. All raptors are going to be having these raptorial beaks that are good for tearing. Coniferous seed-eating beaks are super specialized for peeling open or propping open pine cones and pulling that seed out. They have some behavioral adaptations too. Quite a variety of vocalization. So calls for flight, calls for alarm, calls for mating, all kinds of different sounds produced by these guys, especially in the songbird group. And some of those songs are even used in courtship, but there's a lot of behavior that can help with courtship too. Preening is something that all birds do as well. You can see this duck down here doing that. He's finding a gland on the backside that produces oil, and then they rub that oil throughout their feathers. Helps to keep them waterproof and clean and free of parasites. And migration's a really important trait too. Most birds are going to move around from place to place, but some of them are going to move huge distances across the world for resources, breeding grounds, all kinds of things. In North Carolina, we often change the number of species that are around based on what season it is. So there are many birds that live here year-round, but then there are some birds who are just here in the summer, some in the winter, and there are some called transients or stragglers who are maybe here occasionally, but normally not. So how do we classify birds? Well, they are all animals in the animal kingdom. They have backbones, of course, so they are in the phylum Chordata, and we are no longer in reptiles. They are in class Aves. So what kind of birds do we have? Well, they are 10,000 different species, and there's a lot that goes into this. There are 23 different orders of birds, and we can focus on a few that you're familiar with. Land fowl includes a lot of game birds. These guys strut around a lot and are often really good hunting and good food. Wild turkey, for example. There's a lot of aquatic birds too. Waterfowl specifically would be like ducks, geese, and swans. They have the webbed feet. And then there are also shorebirds. Now, some of them have webbed feet, and some of them have really long feet that aren't webbed, but are good for creating that surface area. We have raptors too. So raptors could be either diurnal, meaning that they're usually out during the day, and then there's the nocturnal ones, which is mostly going to be owls. And we have our perching birds, or our songbirds. This group has the most variety of any of the orders. They're really complex songs that they sing and use for different purposes. Eastern bluebird would be a great example of that. So hope that was helpful, and appreciate you guys watching.